Hello, 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 and welcome to the Babe Bulletin podcast, where we talk empowerment, self-love, boudoir, and anything else that makes you feel like a total babe. We are sticking in the boudoir field today. It's been a while since we've talked about boudoir photography, and since that is what I do for a living, I thought I might as well throw my 2 cents out here and there. I have been getting a lot of inquiries lately, which is wonderful, and I thought, why don't we focus on that? Before you ever find your boudoir photographer, you got to figure out if you have found the right photographer. And how do you go about even doing that? This is such an intimate and personal genre of photography that you really got to do your due diligence and find someone who aligns with you. Otherwise, you might be in for a bad time. And I would not wish that on anyone, especially with this type of photography. It's just way too intimate, in my opinion, to have a negative experience, because that negative experience will stay with you, well, forever. So this is going to be a quick episode, but I think it's going to be an important one, and it's going to be chock full of information to help you find the photographer that is the perfect fit for you. So let's just jump right in and get to it. First, I would recommend finding a photographer whose style you love. That seems kind of like a no-brainer, but it is also very important. I do sometimes hear from photographers that, oh, my client didn't like how dark I photographed this. They didn't like the shadows, or it was too bright. And I'm always kind of amazed to hear that, because looking at someone's portfolio should be step number one. If you like dark and moody, then you gotta find a dark and moody photographer. If you love soft and romantic tones, then you should find a photographer who does that. I would not be that person. Do you like bright and airy and you want everything to feel very, full of light and extra super duper soft and maybe true to life colors? Great, you should find a photographer who does that. It also wouldn't be me. So make sure you're taking the time to scroll through different portfolios and really pay attention to how the images make you feel. A great photographer's work should also evoke emotion. So if you look at an image and it makes you feel something, great, because you'll probably have the same experience then looking at your own. So not only do we want colors and tones and maybe the overall vibe to match what we want, but we really need to focus on how we're going to feel when we look at those images as well. So as you're going through someone's Instagram or their website, consider that. If you think the images are nice and that's the only adjective coming to mind for you, you're probably going to think your images are nice. There's nothing wrong with that, but it's probably not going to provide you with the very healing or empowering experience that you're looking for then. Tip number 2, when finding a boudoir photographer, you want to look for experience and expertise. Now, this is not to say that someone who is brand spanking new cannot give you a great photo shoot. I mean, we all have to start somewhere. But I also think this is something you should at least consider when you are looking for a boudoir photographer. Boudoir is not like any other type of photography. I really do believe it requires a special set of skills with posing, with lighting, and most importantly, the ability to make a client feel comfortable and empowered. The relationship between the photographer and the client, the skills that a photographer needs to have to make someone feel safe in their space, is one that does take time to kind of practice and cultivate. So an experienced boudoir photographer, they're going to be able to guide you through every pose. They can help you feel at ease, and they're going to tell the story of you. They're going to create this very sensual storyline for you. They're going to have this very well-established process because they know what they're doing. And from your consultation all the way to your final product delivery, an experienced photographer is just going to make the whole process feel very seamless and stress-free. If you are looking for that kind of experience, then you should go with a photographer who has been around for a few years. If that's not important to you, then by all means, find someone who's new. I didn't have this when I was brand new. I can tell you right now, my processes were not seamless. I didn't feel comfortable guiding people through poses. I actually felt like I was being very bossy when I would try to direct people, and I didn't like that. And I had to get over that myself and realize, oh no, I'm not bossing people around. I'm helping them and guiding them so they don't feel uncomfortable in front of the camera. But it took me a while to build that confidence. And it also took me a long time to understand what my clients need to feel safe enough to get vulnerable. So all of that comes with time and practice. And if you are looking for a top-notch experience, then you may want to consider going with someone who's been around for a while versus someone who's brand new. Just keep that in mind. Again, I feel like I need to say this a million times. I'm not trying to throw any shade at someone who's brand new. We all have to start somewhere, but it's something you need to consider when you are looking for your perfect photographer for your photo shoot. I also recommend checking out reviews and testimonials. I can go on and tell you how great my studio is and what a wonderful experience it is and blah, 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 blah. At the end of the day, I'm the one running the show though here, right? So you kind of have to take what I say or what any boudoir photographer says with a grain of salt. I'm going to be a little bit biased because it's my studio. It's my baby. So check out the reviews and the testimonials from other people to see if their experience aligns with what I'm telling you the experience is going to be. One of the best ways to gauge a photographer's quality is through their client reviews. What did a past client go through? What did they experience? Did they feel comfortable? Was the photographer professional? Were they encouraging? Were they absolutely thrilled with their final images? Look for testimonials that mention how the client felt during the session, because that is just as important as how the photos turned out. A great boudoir photographer is going to leave their clients feeling confident and beautiful and kind of ready to head out into the world with this newfound appreciation for their body. And those are the things that you should be looking for when you are reading reviews. So I would go to Google or Facebook, maybe Yelp, although are people still using Yelp? I have no idea. I would maybe go to Google and just check out those reviews. When you are finally ready to reach out to a photographer who you're like, okay, I've done my due diligence, I've done my research, I checked out your portfolio, I read the reviews, I am ready to finally talk to you. Pay attention to how that photographer makes you feel when you first inquire. Get a sense for how they communicate. Do they take the time to answer your questions? Do they make you feel heard? Do they make you feel respected? Are they excited for your session, or is this just another day to them? A good boudoir photographer understands how vulnerable of an experience this is. I know because I've been through it too. I've been on the other side of the camera. I've been photographed. It is very vulnerable and it's intimidating and it's kind of scary, especially if you've never done it before. A good boudoir photographer understands that, and they're going to prioritize your comfort every step of the way. If I can do something to make my clients feel more comfortable and it is within my power to do it, I'm going to do it. You should feel that connection with them. You should feel like you are in safe and supportive hands. And if that's the case, great. Now, there are a couple of questions that I want you asking while you're inquiring with them. Things like, is professional hair and makeup included? What should I bring? What should I wear? Do they help you make that decision? How long is the session? Important, so you can plan out the rest of your day. What kind of products do they offer? Albums, wall art, prints, that kind of stuff. And if they offer payment plans, because boudoir is a big investment. So these are all things that I think are worth talking about. These are things that I certainly go through when I'm discussing sessions with clients. I want to make sure that I'm hitting all of these so they know what they can expect. And I like to go into even more detail on certain things, but I'm not saying that the answer to these questions, like for example, is professional hair and makeup included? If the answer is no, that's okay. Not every studio is going to offer that. Not every studio wants to be full service. That's totally fine. It's just important for you to know so that you can prep and get ready in the right way. If you have no idea what to bring or wear, and you're just assuming the studio has a full wardrobe and then you show up and they don't, that's going to create a whole situation. You're not going to have anything to shoot with. I mean, the cool thing about boudoir is you don't have to wear anything, but It kind of starts the session off on a wrong foot when you're not totally prepared. So your photographer should have answers to all of these questions. They should also be sending you guides or emails or some kind of prep to help you get ready for your shoot, so that you're not feeling confused in any way about what you can expect the day of. A boudoir photographer should also be transparent about pricing, packages, what to expect beforehand, all of that. All of my starting prices, for example, for my work, are on my website, so anyone can refer back to them at any point. I also discuss those starting prices, specifically the average as well, when I'm talking to my clients. I let them know, like, hey, this is where an image starts. On average, this is what people spend. And if people want to go into even more details and they're like, actually, I know I want an album, great, I will break down those prices even more. Plus, I send them the full investment menu when they book, so they get to see everything ahead of time and think about what they might want to do. So people can go back and look at my prices anytime that they want. Sometimes it can be a little bit tricky to be like, I can't tell you exactly what you're going to spend because I don't know. I don't know what your budget is. I don't know how many images you're going to like. I don't know what format you're going to want your images in. I don't know if you're going to want wall art or a 40-page album or an 8-page portfolio box. I have no clue. But that's why those starting prices at the very minimum and an average, so helpful, because then you get a sense of what you're going to spend during your boudoir session. Anyone who's not being direct with you about prices, I would watch out for. That feels like a red flag to me. And it's just something to keep, in the back of your brain. I have unfortunately heard from other clients, even other photographers who booked sessions with other people, that they felt a bit bamboozled because they didn't know what the prices were. And then they went to their image reveal and they liked a lot of photos and they realized they couldn't afford any of them. And they felt like their images were kind of being held hostage or like they were being blackmailed into buying something. That is not an empowering experience at all. So at the very minimum, a boudoir photographer may not be able to tell you, I know you're going to spend this exact amount when you come in for your reveal, but they should be able to give you a range. You're looking for a range, okay? I go over, again, all of that during like a discovery call because I want everything to be crystal clear. And if it's not crystal clear, I ask, do you have any questions? I want to take questions on the phone so that I can make sure it's crystal clear and nobody's confused. And then last but not least, you want to make sure you are choosing a photographer who aligns with your values. Boudoir is about so much more than just beautiful photos. It's about celebrating yourself and embracing your body and stepping into confidence and all these good feelings. And the right photographer is going to create a space where you can do that, where you feel safe enough to explore and get outside of your comfort zone, where you feel empowered, and most importantly, where you feel totally in control of your experience. I tell my clients, I am happy to lead the way and I will plan and I will prompt and I will show you what to do. But if I ever suggest something that you do not want to do, let me know and we will pivot and we will do something else. I am never going to force someone to get so far outside of their comfort zone that this is no longer exciting and empowering and instead is scary and damaging. Never. I would never want to do that to a client ever, because it's not my session. It's their session. So making sure that they're getting what they need and what they want, that is the top priority. So you want to make sure that you are choosing someone whose messaging aligns with that and aligns with how you want to feel during the day. Do they promote body liberation and body positivity if that's important to you? Do they promote self-love if that's important to you? Do they work with a diverse range of clients? When you look at their portfolio, can you spot someone who looks like you? Do they emphasize the empowerment and they don't just use that as a buzzword? Are they actually doing the work to create that? Or are they just taking sexy photos? These details matter. And it's something I want you to think about when you are trying to find your photographer. Because at the end of the day, boudoir is an investment. It's big time. I mean, not just financially. We're talking mentally. We're talking emotionally. We're talking in terms of time. My sessions are like 5 hours, right? From when they come in to when they leave. That's a big chunk of a day. So choosing the right photographer, that's going to ensure that your experience is worth that investment and that you're leaving with images, that are beautiful, but also kind of transformative. Images that you can go back to and say, oh, you know what? I'm being a jerk to myself for no reason. I deserve to be nice to myself. I deserve to be kind to myself. I deserve to love myself. Look at this person in this photograph. She's a badass. Why am I being so mean to myself? That's what I want when you're looking at your images. So take your time, do your research, trust your instincts, and when you find the right fit, you will know. Speaking of finding the right photographer, if you want to support my studio and the work that I do, but maybe you're not ready to come in for a photo shoot yet, that is just fine. You can like and subscribe to this podcast. You could leave me a rating or a review on whatever podcast provider of choice you're listening on. That's super, super helpful. It gets us moving up the charts a little bit. It gets more ear holes on this bad boy so we can spread that self-love around. And you can also follow the work that I'm doing at Buxom Boudoir on pretty much every social media platform. I think the only one I'm not on is X. Yeah, I think that's the only one I'm not on. So find me everywhere else, Buxom Boudoir. And now, time for the Babe of the Week. And we have got another baseball player. I think I've done sports. I've had a Babe of the Week in the sports world like one other time. I may have shouted out the Detroit Lions at one point as well, which I feel like I deserve a gold star for that as a Packer fan. But we do have another sports person today, Willie Castro. He is an MLB player for the Minnesota Twins. And a couple of days ago, his eye black was the trans pride flag. And it wasn't even on their LGBTQIA day. It wasn't on their pride day. He just came out with his eye black as the trans flag. And I believe he is the very first MLB baseball player to ever do that. So I'm going to give him all all the snaps. I think that's really cool to come out and to do that and let everybody know that you are supporting the trans community, especially when it wasn't even on their Pride Day. So I'm going to shout it out to him. Willie Castro, thank you for doing that. Thank you for letting your fans know that you support them, whether they're cis, trans, non-binary, whatever it may be. I love seeing this. I absolutely love seeing that. And I don't follow baseball, but this still came across my newsfeed, and I'm really, really happy that it did. So shout out to you, Willie Castro. And if you ever play the Brewers, sorry, I still got to root for the Brewers, but at least I do love what you're doing. So thank you so much for listening. I appreciate you all being here. Remember that your body is a good body, okay? Even when it doesn't always feel that way. We're going to try to be nicer to ourselves. We're going to try to be kinder to ourselves. Enjoy the rest of your day, and we will talk again soon. Bye!